It's February 18th, 2022. I'm fighting the patriarchy one fuck you at a time, and I'm not acting like a lady. Today's forecast is a warm 75 degrees with a crisp, nipply low of 47. Still not nearly as bad as the Midwest and Colorado. Mother Nature decided to shit all over them and dump 5 to 6 inches of snow. And if that wasn't enough of a fuck you to the Midwest in general, she decided to give them a tornado warning as well. So, I got nothing but love for my Colorado Midwest listeners. Please stay safe out there on this, on today. I really want y'all to be safe. Dress warmly. I remember one time in college, I had to take a chemistry class in the summertime so I can graduate. So then I ended up taking this class, and I'm in lab in the middle of June, and all of a sudden all the lights go out. And I was just like, what the hell? So once all the lights go out, I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. I look outside the sculpture garden. The sculptures are all tipped over. Apparently a tornado touched down in the middle of East Main Street in Bridgeport. Like, I went to college in Bridgeport to get my associate's degree, and we called it House of Chronic. It was actually called Housatonic Community College, and that year I was in chem lab. A tornado ripped through all of Main Street, and I was like, what? Never in the history of grits has this ever happened, that a tornado would just touch down in the middle of the city of Bridgeport. So I feel your pain. Stay safe out there, friends. And I don't always leave my house in the snow, but if I need to, I order Instacart instead. Stay warm, my friends. I want to scream a huge happy birthday to Joel Santana. He turns 39 today. Le'Veon Bell turns 29. Did you know that was a football player? I didn't even know he was a football player, but he turns 29 today. So 80s teen star Molly Ringwald blew out 16 candles today, plus a few more. She turns 53, and he's got chills, and they're multiplying. Happy 67th birthday to John Travolta. And happy birthday in heaven to our beloved, see what I did there? Nobel laureate Toni Morrison. And finally, Jillian Michaels can still go fuck herself. Here's what's happening on TV. TV premieres today, the Cuphead show on Netflix. Has anybody watched this? My kids watched this on YouTube, and it was so annoying. But one super hilarious moment came out of this. When my kids heard that song that started, "Stop that corporate nonsense," they switched the words and called and said, "Stop that COVID nonsense," because they were just so upset that they were quarantined for all of 2020. So, shout out to the Cuphead show. So, Cuphead show premieres on Netflix. Space Force premieres on Netflix. Lincoln's Dilemma premieres on Apple TV. Severance premieres on Apple TV. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel premieres on Prime Video. Has anybody watched that? I really kind of slept on it, so maybe I'll watch it and do an I Saw Everything on it. Shock Docs, Alien Abduction, Travis Walton on Discovery. Shock Docs, Alien Abduction, Betty and Barney Hill on Discovery. Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse on Disney Plus. Painting with John premieres on HBO. On Sunday, February 20th, The Walking Dead returns on AMC. Now, listen, they made me wait a long-ass time for episode 9, so I'm just absolutely geeked for this premiere. You're wrong for that. You are wrong for that, The Walking Dead, AMC, but it's okay, I forgive you. This season better be hot. And I know I'm probably going to get roasted and toasted because apparently nobody listens to nobody watches The Walking Dead anymore. I do. I watch that. I stand that shit. So, there. Last Week Tonight with John Oliver premieres on HBO. From premieres on Epix. Abraham Lincoln premieres on History. LBJ, Triumph and Tragedy premieres on CNN. Below Deck Sailing Yacht premieres on NBC. All American Homecoming premieres at 9 p.m. on the CW. American Song Contest on NBC. The Endgame on NBC. Independent Lens Apart on PBS. Black Patriots, Heroes of the Civil War premieres on History. Fannie Lou Hammers America, an American Reframe special on PBS. Oh, yeah, I'm on Tuesday now, so Race, Bubba Wallace premieres on Netflix. Proud Family, Louder and Prouder premieres on Disney Plus. Nature, American Horses on PBS. Nova Augmented on PBS. Snowfall on FX. Frederick Douglass in 5 Speeches on HBO. You know what? Can I just tell you, Frederick Douglass was such a prolific speaker. He was so wonderful. If you ever have time to read one of Frederick Douglass's speech, please do it. It's something you gotta do at least once in your lifetime. His speeches are so amazing. And yes! I finally get to use the Law and Order sound effect again. Law and Order comes back. You remember that Howard Stern show where he's like, WNBC. Anyway, so that's Law and Order comes back. Tune in to Law and Order. I like Law and Order. Las Bravas premieres on HBO. Now, here is what's coming out in the cinemas. Dog and Uncharted. And I have to say, I want to say something about this dog because it's about a military dog and an army ranger that goes on a road trip, and they go to try and watch a friend's try and pay their respects to a fallen brother. And I can definitely get down with that. This is not usually my type of movie. My type of movie has explosions, violence, crying, the whole nine, but this is like an adventure comedy with Channing Tatum, Ronnie Jean Blevins, Akilah Zoe, Reed Caroline, Gregory Jacobs, Peter Kiernan, Skylar Joy, Patricia Isaac. And it's also have Belgian Malinu. It's got a Belgian dog in it. Belgian Malamute. It looks like a German Shepherd. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna hold you. It looks like a German Shepherd, but apparently, Channing Tatum's character and the dog has to go on this adventure, and it's supposed to be funny. Maybe I'll do an I Saw Everything on it. I don't know, but your girl has a Regal Unlimited, so I'm gonna be in the theaters every single day. I'm writing film reviews for my blog. I will be reviewing stuff on I Saw Everything. And you're just going to get content everywhere. It's going to be like, Julene, everywhere you look. Let me stop. So, here we go.
Hey! No! No! You're just a demon. You're just a demon!
It's expired, sir.
Come on, man. You know how many times I've been in and out of this gate with that?
Excuse me?
What's the odds on ISIS?
Step out of the vehicle, sir.
You want me to step out the vehicle? I'll have a...
He's with the Ranger Battalion.
Ranger Battalion.
I've been busting my ass to get my mind and my body back into a good place.
I need to get back in the game, sir.
You want to get back in the game? Prove it. Sergeant Rodriguez was a legend. Family funeral Sunday outside of Nogales. They want his dog at the funeral. You do this, and you're back in the game. She won't work with anyone. One minute she's good, the next minute she's sending 3 guys to the ER.
What's up, dog? Me and you gonna go on a little road trip. Easy. What are y'all so scared of? Smell it out big time. What is your deal, man? Maybe just take the crazy down one notch.
Hey! No! You're just a demon. You're just a demon!
Whatever happened to you, dog? You used to be a legend.
Hey! Oh! No! Hey, dog!
You're so good.
How'd you make her get out of your hand?
I just talked to her. See, she's just a noodle. She just is so good.
You don't do anything else psychotic on this trip?
Maybe we can have some fun.
Is that a deal? Shake?
Lulu, is that you?
Good girl.
You give hugs now? Really?
Lulu gives the best hug. You've never had a Lulu hug?
No, we don't exactly hug. So you telling me that Nuke was just as messed up as Lulu?
Had to work him every day for 6 months. When he stopped struggling, that's when I realized maybe I could stop struggling too.
It's okay. It's just lightning, right?
Look at that!
She's never slept in a nice bed before.
There ain't no shame in wanting a big comfy mattress.
I was hoping you might have a room for me and my little girl.
Is that a Purple Heart? Was she wounded?
Yes, she was.
Thank you for your service.
I've never seen this dog exhibit any aggressive behavior before.
Never. She loves people. Oh my God, I can see.
You're definitely not the girl I thought I'd be in the tub with, but I'll take what I can get at this point, I guess.
Next up, you got Uncharted, The Curse, The Ledge, Kingsman, Sneakerella. Now, Disney, what the hell? Sneakerella? Because, we got Cinderella, which is a story you yoinked from, I believe Hans Christian Andersen or somebody. Yeah, and then that it's not enough that you yoinked it, because I'm not even hating. I like Disney Cinderella, but damn, how many different ways can you tell this story, Disney? Give me something new, fresh and new. Can we do this? So we got Sneakerella, Ted K. Ted, I would have to see this movie to see how they present this, because I refuse to feel sorry for the fucking Unabomber, period. If they are doing this and trying to humanize the Unabomber, they're like, see what goes on in the disturbed head of the Unabomber. No, fuck him. You killed so many people. No, fuck him. Why are we making a movie about this dude? Unless it's to show, like, to tell the story of his victims and how this asshole went insane and killed mad people. Why are we talking about Ted K? Fuck Ted K. Ted K can go to hell. Burn in hell. Forever. Okay. Sorry. Not sorry. You know what? Fuck it. It's been a while since I've done this. Ted K and whoever decided this was a good idea.
Canceled.
You're canceled. Just straight up canceled. And you can get the fuck out of here too. Okay. Incarnation, Pursuit, A Banquet, Too Cool to Kill, Strawberry Mansion. Now, I'm not sure about Strawberry Mansion, but I know my daughter is like the girliest of girls, so I'm probably going to end up watching this in the theater with her. So we got Streamline, The Last Bus, The President, and that's it. And as speaking of movies, as promised, I saw everything.
I saw everything.
I'm just kidding. I went out to see Marry Me with Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson. I believe I played the trailer last episode. If you didn't catch that last episode, just click the link and you can check out my last episode where I played the trailer of Marry Me. So today and I saw everything. I'm talking about Marry Me, and it's the movie with Jennifer Lopez, Owen Wilson, and Maluma. Now, I have forever beef with Jennifer Lopez. I'm not even kidding. Like, I beef with her for the rest of my life, and that's that. But I am a fan of Owen Wilson, and I love Maluma's music. This movie promised new music by Maluma and Jennifer Lopez. So what I ended up doing was I decided to watch it, and J-Lo's character Kat find out minutes before she's supposed to be married to her fiance Bastion, played by Maluma. She finds out that he has been unfaithful with her assistant Tyra. So her knee-jerk reaction was to marry a rando played by Charlie. Marry a rando named Charlie, played by Owen Wilson. And Charlie is this down-to-earth single dad, while her character, Kat Valdez, is this out-of-touch pop star. And they decided to get married at this concert and then get to know each other for 90 days before filing the marriage paperwork. When I first saw it, the first thing I thought, I was like, I'm calling bullshit. Because when I planned my wedding, I had to fill out all these papers, go to premarital counseling, all this stuff. So, but I guess the movie's got to do its thing. But apparently this goes down in Vegas all the time. People just meet people and marry each other. So they decide that they're going to get to know each other for 90 days before filing the actual marriage papers and getting it done for real. So, because this knee-jerk reaction is actually kind of a mental break for Kat Valdez, and Owen Wilson's too nice a guy to be like, hey, you picked me out of a crowd and I was just holding this sign for my daughter. So, how about we not do this? He actually goes along with it. So for 90 days, he's got cameras in his faces, reporters chasing him down. But he gets to know this whole other side of Kat Valdez, the pop star. And they fall in love for real. But, she wins a Grammy and she talks about how, I've never won anything, and because I got Bastion on my album, I finally get to win something, which I found So the dude who cheated on her, I think she let him off the hook way too fast. So they're all getting to know each other. She's falling in love. They sleep together. She's showing up at the kid's school and doing all this stuff. And just when you think it's going to work, here comes the ex, Bastian, aka Maluma. And he's like, oh, I wanted to tell you, you won a Grammy. We won a Grammy for the song we did together called Marry Me. You know, the one they were supposed to sing at their wedding ceremony that, you know, minutes before he has a video of him. There's a video of him cheating with the assistant. So then after he shows up, she was like, okay, she agreed to perform the song on stage. And then Owen Wilson's character, Charlie, gets a little bit insecure, which, I mean, he is a really likable character. The movie wants me to like him so much. My issue with this is that, one, she kind of ambushed him when she met the daughter, which, parents, if you ever date a single person, do not do that. We will let you meet the kids when we are ready. My husband now, he met the kids when I felt comfortable to let him meet my kids. That's the type of thing you got to give time. You don't just show up to places going, hey, I'm going to help you with your stage fright now. Why? Because I'm this privileged pop star and I can do that. We don't do that. So there's a couple issues. I did not like Jennifer Lopez's character. She was like a dreamer. He's kind of like more of a love skeptic, and of course it was very formulaic. They fall in love. They have the epic misunderstanding when she performs with Maluma. Oh, sorry, her ex Bastian, and you know, he said he wasn't going to be at the garden, but he shows up to the after party just in time to hear Bastian singing the song that he wrote for Kat Valdez called, well, it's all about him begging her for a second chance. So Owen Wilson's a little bit insecure, so he breaks up with her at this party, and then they don't talk for a while. And then he goes to this mathalon competition in Peoria, Illinois. And Kat Valdez goes on Jimmy Fallon with Maluma. And they're supposedly going to perform this song, Marry Me. And everybody thinks they're getting back together. They're going to reunite. Jimmy Fallon says the new song she wrote, Coming Home to You, was about Bastian, and Second Chance was written about Kat. And then it was at this moment, while they're live on Jimmy Fallon, that she has an epiphany that she wrote that about Charlie, Owen Wilson's character. So instead of finishing out the interview, she gets up and leaves. And then this pop star can't do shit for herself, figures out, and her assistant, her manager, is the one that kind of helps her out. She flies coach. She tries to buy people a standby slot. She basically tries to buy people's patience, buy people's tolerance of her. So she flies out to Peoria, and then she doesn't have a ride to the mathalon competition. But her manager, being the gem that he is, calls ahead and makes sure someone meets her. The Uber takes too long. They hop on a bus. She pays the bus driver to change his route to go take her to the mathalon competition. Now, again, just so you know, just so you know, you will never in life be able to pay a bus driver to change their route, because those routes are set by their corporate office, unless that is a private charter bus with no charter contracts. So there's that. Of course, she goes to the mathlon competition. The daughter starts to choke up. And then it's Owen Wilson that does this dance to help her remember. Owen Wilson dancing is probably one of my favorite parts of this film. Oh, and also, so as the title of the movie suggests, she asks him to marry her again. She holds up a sign that says "Marry me," like the sign he was holding at her concert, except she gets a second sign that says "again." And of course, he forgives her. They get married, they stay together, and then they have a whole montage of people talking about their love stories. And, you know, funny haha, they get on this montage in the end and say, "Oh, we met at a concert." And that's the movie. But if you ask me, I think his daughter let Kat Valdez off the hook way too easily, because in these type of relationships, when the adults get together, when you date a single parent, you're not just dating the single parent, you are dating the child too. So if you flounce, you know, you're not being good to each other, you break up or whatever the case may be, the kid suffers too. And you know, the reason why I put the fault on the woman, because she puts herself in a, like, she didn't even take the time to make him feel included in the Grammy celebration. She said, "Please, please, oh, you gotta come." When she's singing this beautiful, intimate ballad with Bastion, her ex, she doesn't even, like, I would have sang the song and been like, "Hey, you know, marry me, Charlie," or whatever the fuck. Like, I would have taken the time to make my partner feel recognized, you know, or hung out with him, or insisted that he come. Something, or worn a piece of jewelry. Not that she needs him to feel represented, but just to show him, "Hey, I see you, and I'm sharing this amazing thing with you." And that would have made it so much better than her just, "Okay, I'm going to go off and sing this romantic ballad with my ex that cheated on me." She let him off the hook way too easily too. But, I mean, it's the rom-com formula. What can you say? So, I give this movie, in spite of the formulaic nature, I gave this movie 6.5 marriage proposals out of 10, because there was nothing new brought to it, but there are some really interesting set pieces. The costuming was breathtaking. The wedding gown that she was wearing in the concert scene was wonderful. I loved the classroom setting and Kat Valdez's home. But I was not a fan of the costuming with the nuns and the little thong thing that she was wearing. I don't know. It just didn't. It was just wrong for not. I'm not fat. J-Lo is not fat. I'm not fat shaming her. I just, it just didn't, like, I don't know. It didn't, like, hang on her body right. I have no other way to explain. It just didn't hang on the body the way, like, it could have been better, is I guess what I'm saying. So there's that. Marry me, 6.5 marriage proposals out of 10. So coming up next, I'm chopping it up with Kevin from the Jury Room. But first, check out this promo for his awesome new series called Addicted. Keep it locked.
With cocaine, one snort, and it just owned my body and soul. Something in my system wanted that. And once cocaine was there, It was like the missing link. Click. Like when you turn on lights. It's on or off. There's no halfway. Cocaine was like my on switch. Stephen King. Some people understand that feeling of an on switch that Stephen King describes. It's a need, a compulsion, an overwhelming drive for some of us who dared to dance with the allure of a substance that could make us forget our pain, suffering, grief, and heartache. It's a dance with the devil that some of us sign willingly, knowing that the next big hit, the next big high, could be our last, but still doing it anyway. Still chasing that dream in hopes of leaving ourselves behind and losing oneself to the drift of a high. Some of us come away from the chase, realizing that at some point, something has to change. Something has to give, or we will lose our lives to following that high. Some of us are never able to stop. Never able to stop the pursuit of that demon that lures us in with promises of escaping the prisons of our lives. Join us for our upcoming series on the struggles of addiction, and where we explore our very human need to escape our lives and fall down into the spiral of drugs and alcoholism, even if that spiral may one day lead to our very own demise at the hands of a compulsion we cannot control. If you or a loved one has been struggling with addiction or has in the past and would like to share your story, please feel free to reach out to me via social media or through email at juryroompodcast@gmail.com. Welcome to Addicted, a Jury Room production, coming soon to wherever you listen to this podcast.
All right, everyone. You know him, you love him. Please welcome my next guest, Kevin from the Jury Room podcast. Now, how are you doing, Kevin?
I'm good, Jolene. Thanks for having me. Thanks for that introduction. My name, like she said, my name is Kevin. I'm the host of the Jury Room podcast. It's a true crime podcast that kind of covers everything from serial killers to unsolved mysteries and everything in between. But yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be on here. We just did an episode for my show. If you guys want to go check that out, we discussed Kaninka Jenkins and that unsolved murder case, or unsolved mystery case, I guess is what you want to say, because nobody's ever been technically charged with murder. But yeah, so I'm glad to be here. And again, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and Kanika Jenkins was actually my inspiration for this topic that I have you on to talk about, because this week I wanted to kind of get into domestic abuse, violence against women, because the trending topic I was talking about is the fact that MGK gave Megan Fox an engagement ring made of thorns, so it actually gives her pain when she removes it. According to the article, that is a hype, supposedly. So you can never tell. But I personally felt like that was like a red flag. That's kind of unhealthy and it's toxic. And I started doing some research. As you know, I've been advocating for survivors of domestic abuse for a long time. And I got to tell you, the statistics are staggering.
They are. And it's appalling. So before I started this podcast, I guess I was kind of ignorant to the fact of it, but I didn't realize the day-to-day struggles that women go through. And that's just going for your everyday, going to the grocery store or going to buy something at the mall, or, at a clothing store or something like that, where they have to basically protect themselves, always be aware of their surrounding and what's going on. You know what I mean? And that's scary for me. But even though I don't have to deal with that, but I feel like it's a very unjust and unfair way for somebody to have to live like that. You know what I mean?
No, I completely agree. I used to get like I hung out with a bunch of dudes when when I came home from deployment. I I only really kind of felt seen and understood by my brothers and sisters in arms. And the my rate in the military, it was very disproportionate. There were way more men than women, so I had so many male friends, and they always kind of roasted me because whenever we went out to a bar, whenever we did anything, one I guarded my drink like it was an egg or it was my child. I wouldn't let anybody near my drink. And then if I had to go to the bathroom, I would go to whoever, like their dates or whoever was at the table or whoever, yo, you gotta go to the bathroom? I'm about to go. Let's go together. And the other thing that they would always say is, there's always a huge line at the ladies' room. What are you guys doing in there? And that's the thing that they don't get. That is a safety measure. See, for every one of you that goes to the bathroom, two and three and four of us are going because we don't want to end up in the news as the next person that gets assaulted when we leave our group of people, and that's also walking each other to the car, go travel in twos, you know, when you go, like when I used to leave the gym at night, that's a scary situation. I'll park close so I can go right from the door back to the car. Park close to the building that you're at,
Right.
keys in your knuckles.
Right. And that's something that is crazy to me. And that's because your mom has taught you that, or you have been in enough situations that's made you uncomfortable, whether that be telling somebody no, somebody following you, and you blatantly making it obvious that you're uncomfortable that they're following you, but yet they still continue following you. It's something that I don't understand, that we as a society, and the sad part about it is a lot of the times the women get blamed for it, right? Oh, well, you shouldn't have been wearing that, or you shouldn't have done this, and you shouldn't have. And it's like, well, wait a fucking second, why don't you teach your men or teach your boys to take no for an answer? No is okay. Consent is it it's everything. And that's something that I feel that we as a society have fallen down on, is not teaching people to be okay with the word no, being able to communicate with people. Hey man, you're making me uncomfortable. Can you back the fuck off? Man, you're just being a bitch. You know what I mean? And it's like, well,
Oh my
hold on one second. Like I'm not being a bitch. I'm telling you to back the fuck out of my space. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's wild because I like this is not a man bashing session. This is not that. But in truth, the patriarchy has taught men that they are entitled to any space they choose, whereas they teach women we should apologize for being in these spaces. It's the same reason women will raise their hand in a classroom and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," but like if they interrupt or even if they want to ask a question, the first thing they always do is apologize. They raise their hand, "Oh, I'm sorry, can I go to the bathroom?" No, stop apologizing for simply being there. But that's because, again, society teaches men they're entitled to any space they choose. And
Right.
if me as a woman, I say, I don't want your hands all over me, the first thing they can think to say is, bitch.
Right.
Or, that, oh, well, look at what you're wearing. Once upon a time, I responded, well, look at what you're wearing. You got a really nice watch. If I robbed you, would that be cool? No. But so why are you wearing it? It's like you're saying it's okay for me to take it.
Right. I don't know. The way I've always equated that to is like So, for an example, and this is obviously an extreme example, but if, let's say you, okay, we'll just use you as an example. You choose to be in a gangbang, right? We'll just say it. And you choose 80 people to sleep with within the parameters that you have set up, right? But you leave and somebody outside sexually assaults you because they just watched you get gangbanged, right? By 80 people. But you didn't allow them. It wasn't in your rules, right? So why, like, how is that in his head or in their head? They've justified assaulting you or raping you. Oh, well, because she just slept with however many people in a gangbang. You see what I mean? And it's like, how is that even like, how does that compute? You know what I mean? The consent was you consented over here, but not to be raped by some asshole right outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, and that logic also doesn't make sense to me. Those 80 people were picked and curated by the person choosing to do it.
Exactly.
You didn't make the cut, sir. Please keep it moving. you
You know
you
what I
did
mean?
not
But
make the
it's
cut.
and the same thing goes with women and their sexuality, right? So if a woman who whatever sleeps with however many people, and it doesn't really matter, right? We are a sex driven species. Like, I hate to say it, but like that is we are literally born to procreate and then die. Like, that is what our species is, right? So as a woman, now again, in my past, now I've never been extreme like some of these people. Of course, I've done, off the wall shit, and I'm not saying that, but I've also grown and learned. But women and their sexuality, I don't understand why it's not viewed the same as a man. If you tell me you went out and slept with 20 people, you're a slut, right? But if I tell you the same thing, hey, I went out and slept with 20 people, man, bro, you're cool. That's awesome. Like, fucking good job. You know what I mean? And that part
I'm
kills me too.
I'm telling you, stud is 2 letters away from slut.
It's true. That
It's
is
two
true.
letters off. Two
Right.
letters off.
So it's hard, man. It makes me sad because it's one of those things that me as a male and as a white male, right? I really don't have my struggles aren't the same as a woman. My struggles aren't the same as a person of color. And so I understand that, but I'm also not ignorant to the fact that that you have to recognize their struggles, and we have to talk about it, and we have to change that narrative, whether that be through a podcast, whether that be teaching your kids better. We have a whole generation of people now where we are teaching them that it's okay to have bad days, and it's okay to feel sad. And so I'm hoping in the years coming that the narrative towards women changes. I mean, the reality is women are stronger than men. They, hands down, they make, you know, how, what am I trying to say? They make life better, you know what I mean? And not necessarily from the fact of, whatever in your household, but just they're just as important as we are. We all have different roles, or whatever your role may be, own it and use that to your best of your ability. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree. And you know, it I my people are a matriarchy. I always talk about my reconnection journey and being indigenous. Um and we are matriarchy. We trace our lineage, our inheritance, our everything through our women. So it really, violence against women is it's not acceptable in my eyes.
Right. And I
You
agree.
know,
And it's sad because like they're it's crazy, right? Because most of the people who are just douchebags about it are guys that either watch their mom get abused, when that sucks, because that's it, just you're repeating the vicious cycle, or you know, a lot of like these politicians and shit, and now again, I can't confirm nor right, but a lot of them have like some pretty fucked up closets where, you know, a woman where a woman dominates them, but yet in the public they're telling a woman, oh, you can't have an abortion, or you can't do this with your body, or you can't have birth control, you know what I mean? And it's like, back the fuck off, man. Like, let them do them. My whole thing is we want freedom in this country, right? And so I'm going on a tangent completely off topic, but we want freedom in this country, right? I love the fact of having freedom. I'm very much an advocate for freedom. Now, that means with that freedom, that means you have to accept people's choices, good or bad, right? Whether it be if Jolene wanted to get an abortion or not get an abortion, that's her choice. I can't take that away from her, and you have to accept it. So if you want the freedom, you have to accept stuff that you might not necessarily agree with, but in order for you to have the freedom to make your choices, somebody else has to have the freedom to make their choices. You can't have one or the other. It's both. You got to have both. Now, there's the flip side, right? Because people are going to say, well, what about, you know, like child porn and shit? No, of course, that shit's fucking gross. And that's not the extreme that people should go to. But
Well,
as
I
far as,
mean, child porn, that's already, the premise is flawed, because the idea of sexuality and bodily autonomy and stuff like that,
right,
as it pertains to sex, it's understood that it's between two consenting adults.
right,
There are
not a
laws in
child,
place, not
right,
a child.
right.
So the premise is immediately flawed.
No, and I agree. It's just, I don't know, man. It's hard, and it's sad to see. I wish that there was, and there's a lot of people talking about it, and I feel like the narrative is slightly changing, but it's not at the same time, because every time I see us take a step forward, we end up taking 3 steps back, because now, you know, some state is telling the women in their state, you know, oh, you can't, like, you can't have an abortion at, you know, before 6 weeks. And it's like, or after 6 weeks. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, you don't even know that you're pregnant until after 6 weeks. Like, how is that even possible?
All three of my kids, I didn't even know I was pregnant until like it was like 9 weeks. One
Right.
time I was pretty far along with Jonathan before I found out I was pregnant. I
Right.
think
You
I
know?
was I think I was going up on like 4 months before I even like noticed.
Right. And it's one of those things that I don't like the fact that women are told what to do when men are expected to have the freedom. And I'm not a feminist by any stretch of the mean, but I am an ally, and I just feel like it's not fair that a certain group of people get to live this kind of life and another group has to live under them. Like, we're equals. We're not, I'm not better than you and you're not better than me. So why in the eyes of society are we different?
Well, the thing is, women had to fight to even be seen as like people, functioning members of society. We got the right to vote in 1926. Wrap your brain around that one.
Right.
You know, we were not allowed to own property unless a man co-owned it, or without our husband's permission we were not allowed to work. I mean, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is iconic because she fought for us equal pay. She is an icon
Right.
because of this. But then, why was there a need for the Ruth Bader Ginsburgs in the world?
Right.
Let's talk about that.
Well, I mean, the reality is, right? So more than likely, and this is going to sound fucked up, but more than likely, women got the right to vote because a certain party or candidate needed more votes. Let's be honest, right? They
Yeah.
saw a whole untapped potential of voters to be able to vote. And of course, what's going to happen? The women are going to listen to the men, right? And who to vote for. So if the men in politics can sway the women to vote a certain way, well, now you have a whole group of people that can vote, right? So then you have feminism and women like Ruth Gator. What? I'm sorry. Say her name again.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
There you go. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who, who wants to see change for women and who fight for women's right. I mean, I was just watching a documentary not too long ago on, I think it's called The Ripper. It's on Netflix, and they were talking about the Yorkshire Ripper, right? I was doing it for another podcast. But the police in this episode were blaming the women. So they were at victim number, I think, like 10 before the cops even really started getting involved. Why? Because there were sex workers involved, because there was women, right? So then there was a middle to upper class woman who was killed, and all of a sudden now the police wanted to be involved. You see what I mean? And this was in the 70s. And it's like, whoa, wait a second. And so there was, marches and rallies, and, they're trying to put curfews on women. And granted, this was in England, but I've seen the same shit happen here too. And so we're talking about in the 70s, but yet that same narrative, that same victim blaming, that same, oh, we're going to blame the women, is still happening today. And it's like,
so of all your true crime episodes, what percentage would you say the murder victims were women?
Percentage wise, I mean, it's an easy 75-85%. I mean, it's up there. It's ridiculous. I just did an episode my last episode was on Patrick Wayne Kearney. All of his victims were males, and that was kind of a first. You don't really see it being one, across the board. It's more women than anything else, and that's sad. That's disgusting. You guys, they, in their head, it's a biological thing, maybe, I don't know, right? Because, and this is not my opinion, but this is what the narrative is, right? A woman is weaker than a man. Her muscle structure is different than mine. Okay, and I get that, but there's some badass women out there who scare the shit out of me, who could probably fucking kill me, like, and I know that. But it's one of those things that it still doesn't give you the right just because you can overpower somebody to do it. Like, what the fuck is the point of that?
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right. And so that's, and like I said, it doing this true crime podcast, has opened my eyes, talking to women, from all different walks of life, experiencing the same thing. I've probably talked to, I don't know, 20, 30 different women. And I swear to God, the story is all the same. I couldn't tell a guy no. I was put in this position. I was this, I was that. And I'm like, it floors me. And then on top of that, then you have domestic violence, and you have violence against minorities and women. And then you have violence against sex workers. It's just,
hold on. That brings me to the next topic. About what percentage of those cases are women being attacked by someone that they know, live with, love?
of the cases that I've covered so far, I haven't had very much domestic violence. Most of it has been just general violence against women, whether it be sexual assault, rape, or, murder. So I haven't covered a whole lot of domestic cases, but I know that there are a shit ton of them out there. There is no shortage of domestic violence cases resulting in either murder, suicide, or murder. I mean, hands down. I mean, that's why, and I hate to say it, but a lot of women listen to true crime for that fact, to try to learn what signs to look for, to learn, for plethora of different reasons, but the reality is that this is the fear that they live with. This is the fear that they deal with every day. And it's hard. I can't imagine it's easy to live in that fear all the time, constantly leaving your house. So,
It's definitely something. When I left the military, they taught me about spatial awareness, being aware of my surroundings. So, I was always feeling like I should look over my shoulder, be aware, always know that I have something on me that I can fight with. Cuz I knew, like, I wasn't this big always, When I left the military, I was like 4'11" and like 138 pounds, soaking wet.
right.
But you know what? Like, I I I fought like a honey badger. I was mean. So, but I knew that no matter how bad I was, there was someone that was gonna be better. And I watched CSI, SVU, Law and Order, Criminal Intent, all of that. All the CSIs and the NCISs. You know why? Because I knew when that bigger, badder person comes around, I wanted to make sure I had enough DNA evidence on my body that my attacker would get caught.
Right. And that's a very valid point. And not too long ago, I don't remember, I would say within the last 6 months, there was an article I seen of a little girl. She was probably 8 to 10 years old, maybe a little bit older, 8 to 12, we'll say. So she's playing out in her front yard, minding her own fucking business, right? And the way her house was, it was a corner house, right? So the street ran like this, and then it teed off, so you could either make a left or a right. This white truck pulls up to the intersection, stops, gets out, runs over to grab her, and she's scratching his arms, right? And he drops her and leaves. So, and she's freaking out. So, and they interviewed the little girl, and they're like, how did you learn how to do that? And she's like, from Law and Order SVU. She said, to be able to and they were able to catch the guy because of the DNA underneath her fingernails. So, it's one of those things that women should definitely take precautions. And I hate having to say that, but the reality is that you have to you have to protect yourself. And without the narrative changing and holding people accountable, it's the unfortunate reality that this is what we live with every day. This is what women live with every day.
And they're emboldened too by the fact that we have celebrities getting banged up with the domestic violence, and they're just getting away with it because cancel culture is picks and choose what they're willing to put up with. Like, look, they canceled Chris Brown because he beat up Rihanna and then subsequently choked out a model in his house. But then, they still have Ezra, whatever the hell his name is, for the Flash on the DC cinematic universe. They still have him in working and playing the Flash, even
How
though he
about
went
R.
up and
Kelly?
choked a whole girl. We muted R. Kelly, but we still bumped Dr. Dre. Do we forget how he beat the unholy hell out of Michelle, his wife, every single side chick he's ever been with?
Right. I mean,
We will.
but we didn't mute R. Kelly. We waited until he wasn't making money anymore. See, that's just it too with celebrities, right? If you're making them money, it gets brushed under the rug until you don't. And then all of a sudden, it's all coming to light, right? Look at Bill Cosby. Look at how many women accused him before something finally happened. Why? Because he was America's dad. Because he was the Jello guy. Because he was Fat Albert. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's the hard part with celebrities, and they get falsely accused as well as real accusers. And so it's hard. I understand that it's hard, but when you have multiple accusers, I mean, sometimes where there's smoke there's fire, and you have to investigate it.
Well, you know how they talk about like Tyga,
Hmm.
how how oh my gosh, why is her name not coming
Oh,
to me right away?
Kylie.
No, not Kylie. She played in the Proud Family. Oh my gosh, I like love her
Oh,
work. You know who I'm talking about.
I do,
It's
but
like,
I
I
can't think
don't
of
know
her
this
name.
man. Sorry to
Salome?
this man.
No,
Huh?
it's not
No,
Sloan. No.
it's oh my god, she was in Joyful Noise with Queen Latifah. Her name is right in the tip of my tongue. It's gonna come to me when I'm not even thinking about it. Watch.
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up now
Oh,
because
you're
it's
gonna
gonna
look it
bug.
up?
Yeah, it's gonna bug me
Yeah,
if
it's
I
gonna bug
don't.
the hell out of me all day. She said that there was an instance where she felt very uncomfortable
Kyla
in
Pratt. Is that who you're
was
talking
it
about?
Kyla Pratt? No,
Is
not
it
her, not her.
her?
It was another girl. No, no, no.
Not her.
It wasn't her.
What was the
It
other movie you
was
said? Joyful what?
Joyful Noise. She's really dope. She's a really nice actress too. She's got a beautiful voice. Oh my gosh, why am I not thinking of this name right now?
Um, is it Kika or Kiki
Kiki
Palmer?
Palmer. Kiki Palmer. That's what it is. Kiki Palmer.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Okay, yeah, it was Kiki Palmer. So she has been on record saying how she felt very uncomfortable. uh Tyga made her feel very uncomfortable, and multiple models, women, all under age of 18, have talked about how uncomfortable they are around Tyga. And
Right.
then lo and behold, he dates a Kardashian who also not 18. He gives her a whole ass what Porsche sports car or something, but no one's even batting an eye because she's 17, almost 18. Look, I'm like Brandy, almost doesn't count, okay?
Right. That's the that's the hard part with celebrities though, right? Is they get their way. They get to buy their way out, right? Our justice system is set up for people with money to skate by and for people who don't have money to stay in the system. It's the sad reality that if you have money, you get away with more. If you don't have money, then you don't. And then so it's a fucked up situation.
Yeah, and then and then we got a lot of people calling out child rapists right now. You know,
Right.
when you yeah, Harvey Weinstein. There's another Steen that got called out too. There's a ton of them, and my question is, there were signs.
Right.
There were signs, and these record companies are just as culpable.
Well, look at all the Disney stars that have come out and said that they were abused as children. Look at actresses who have come out and said even as adults they were abused. You know what I mean? And so by either a record label, head or another actor or a producer or director. You know what I mean? It's a filthy fucking game to play, and it's just it sucks. I mean, I don't know how else to frame it other than it sucks. It's a sad reality.
And this is all that to say, we have got to normalize making this reprehensible.
Right.
Normalize looking at your friends, your strangers in the street that abuse women in front of you, and normalize looking at them and saying, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Back up." Normalize making it okay to say, "Don't touch me." Normalize that. Teach your children to say, "Don't touch me.
Right.
Don't touch me. Don't touch my hair. Don't touch
Right.
my clothing." Make that okay. Don't act like you're embarrassed. And that comes See, in the grooming women to think this way comes at the very beginning as kids, because you know when the parent goes, "Oh, go kiss your auntie, go hug your auntie," and you really don't want to be bothered with auntie whoever the hell is visiting,
Right.
and then go kiss her, go give her a hug. Normalize saying, "I it's okay to not want to hug them today."
Right. That is true. That is, I mean, that goes with all children, you know what I mean? That it's okay, to teach your kids to say no to something that they don't necessarily want. And it's, oh, it's you're rude if you don't give your uncle or your aunt a kiss or a hug or whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. And that is a very valid point. I agree with that.
Yeah, like, hot take.
Uh-oh.
I also feel like it's a little weird to have children sit on a grown man's lap at Christmas time. I've taken like I mean, I've done it.
Right.
Like my mom used to take us to the mall to go see Santa or whatever. My kids have never gone to take pictures with Santa.
Right.
And the one picture my daughter has with Santa, she's standing up.
Right. I mean that's, you'll get the people that will tell you, "Oh, you're looking at it wrong," and then you'll have the people that agree too. And it's one of those things that it's, I mean, you're not wrong. You know what I mean? If that's not what your comfort level is, that's okay for you to say no. You know what? I don't want my kids sitting on your lap, or no, I don't want my kids doing this. I mean, that's
Yeah,
okay too.
cause at the end of the day, you don't look at him and be like, "Who are you?
Right.
Who are you? I don't know what you do. I don't know where you've been. I don't
Right.
know what you're into." I mean, I'm not saying every person that allows a child to sit on his lap and will dress up like Santa is a whole ass weirdo, right?
Right. Of
I'm not
course.
saying that by any means.
It's just
I
your
mean,
personal preference, and that's okay.
exactly. So, be vigilant. I was talking to some ladies that was with her kids at the park, and she went to walk to the to her car, and apparently like she was being followed and didn't even realize it.
Hmm. Yeah, I've
And it
heard
was
that story before too. And they've had where other women have noticed it and, started circling her and her kids and being like, or spook them off or be like, oh, hey, talk to them, like they know them, like, oh, hey, how's it going? And then that way that person hopefully, takes a hint and leaves, so it's scary, man. It's sad how scary it really is. And it takes more people seeing behavior like this to stand up to these people and tell them back the fuck off, dude. Like leave them alone. It's like if you see a woman who's uncomfortable at a bar because a man is being pushy, walk up and just say, hey honey or something, like just get her out of that situation, because she will never forget that. And it's not even about her forgetting you. It's about, giving her hope. Like there are people out there who care and who don't want to see you end up on a fucking milk carton.
exactly. We have to look out for each other, and you know how you talked about you've never experienced this discomfort. It's people like you who build awareness too.
Right.
You talk about your privilege, and you take your privilege to be an ally.
Right.
It's like you're weaponizing your privilege to protect the people that you've allied with. And that's important. We need allies just like
Right.
that as well. Has
No,
have you ever been in a situation where a woman's been afraid of you?
I'm 100% sure yes. Probably not intentionally, but I'm a bigger person. I always have been taller and, more, boisterous, I guess, in a way, but not in a sense, and not in the sense of, I'm like, oh, hey, will you go out with me? Because I've always been insecure and shy and like never really been able to like voice, you know what I mean? That. But it's something that I'm sure I've stared at a woman too long. I know I have. I've stared at women. I'm not gonna lie. I was a fucking horn dog when I was a kid and a teenager and younger in my 20s. So, if I saw a woman I liked, I'm sure I made her uncomfortable. I've probably made many women uncomfortable because I just can't help it. I'm just like, but it's one of those things to where even now, right? Like, you can't tell a woman she's beautiful without, like, we need to normalize being able to give each other compliments too, right? Hey, you're beautiful. I don't want nothing else from you, but hey, you're beautiful. I hope you have a nice day. That brightens people's days, but they're so wired to think that you want something that you can't even just say, hey, you look nice, and then walk away. You know what I mean? Because she's afraid, and that's the sad reality. But yeah, I'm sure
There's a difference from "Hey, you're beautiful" and
I
"Hey,
mean, yeah, right. To,
you're
hey, I'm gonna
beautiful.
fuck
Let
your
me just get
brains
right
out.
up in
Right,
here." Like,
right. I get that. I'm not saying like I'm not obvious. You know what I mean? But it's I don't know. I don't know, man. It's such a hard conversation to have because I say you guys, women have been hard programmed to be afraid. And that's just the reality.
yeah.
Is it's the fear driven that, and it's not that people are telling you, oh, you need to be afraid. It's like, no, motherfucker, like, there's situations I've been in that I'm truly fucking afraid of, and that's what makes me fearful.
Yeah, I asked because a man shared a story about how he was leaving the gym. I told you, like, I park real close to the gym because, I'm always afraid to get got at the gym.
Right.
Well, back when I was able to go to the gym, and this dude told a story about how a woman I think he spoke to a woman on his way out, and they were going in like the same direction, and she completely freaked out because she thought he was following her.
Right. Right. But even though they were going, and like, I've been in that situation where you're walking towards like the same direction and you can tell a woman's uncomfortable. And of course, you want to smile at her and just say, I'm going this way too. You know what I mean? But she, it's that, it's that fight or flight response in her to tell her, oh shit, there's a man there. What is he going to do? You know what I mean?
And even now, if you smile at her, she already thinks you're a creep, and you're just
Right.
like,
And it's like, bro, I'm not, it's not like that.
you know,
Right.
what do you do at that point? At that
Uh,
point, there is nothing you can do to
Nothing.
make it less weird.
Right. Because even then you could tell her, don't worry, I'm not fucking following you. And then she'll be like, oh, you're really fucking creepy now. Like, why are you even talking about, why are you bringing up following me?
It's
it's a
like,
lose
don't
lose.
worry, I'm not following you, and be like, that's exactly what someone who is following me would say.
Right.
Okay.
Why would you tell me you're going to follow me? That's right. It's a thing.
Like, you see it in the movies too. Like, I recently rewatched Coyote Ugly, and I was just like, where do I begin with this?
Oh my
The-
God.
I was
Movies,
like,
movies from the early 2000s are cringe now, man. Like,
I was like, did he really just follow her around the block? Like, he lied. He told a whole ass lie about who he was, and now he's following her around until she goes home. That's so creepy.
yeah.
And the payoff for following a woman and stalking her to her apartment was they actually ended up dating and falling in love. So I can see how we can feel misguided
Right.
about what love would be.
I mean, that's true too, though, because the narrative for men, right, in movies is you fucking chase her until she just can't help but say yes, right? So, no matter how many times she has told you no, and granted, sometimes women are, it's one of those situations where she might be on the fence, and and then you guys go out, and then she's like, okay, cool. But if she keeps saying no, 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 and you're just like, yeah, 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 like for whatever reason, the movies have taught men that that's what you're supposed to do. And the hard reality is that if a woman is into you or if she likes you, she will make it clear. And that goes, I'm not just saying men and women, I mean with anybody. Anybody, if somebody likes you, they're going to make it clear. It's going to be easy. There's not going to be resistance. And I'm not saying getting laid is going to be easy. I'm saying that it's going to be easier with somebody who's into you than you having to fucking tie a rope around her neck and drag her to fucking dinner. You know what I mean?
It's not, resistance is not futile.
Right.
Resistance is resistance.
Right. Whether it's fucking 5 pounds of resistance or 50 pounds, it's still resistance, So I don't know, man. The world's fucking crazy. It's weird. It's a weird fucking place. And the older I get, the less I like it.
Oh, I'm telling you, like this pandemic. Oh, and in a situation where a girl thinks you're a creep already, you can't even smile at her because we got a mask on now.
Oh yeah, that's true. So now
So you
it's even
smile.
more. You got, well, I wouldn't say a mask well, maybe where you're at, but where I'm at, nobody's wearing masks anymore. It's sad. I do. I 100% wear my mask when I go out. Uh, but you could go to the like I went to the gas station the other day and literally nobody inside except for the workers were wearing a mask. And I'm like, this is why. Like, you guys are fucking stupid. And I'm vaccinated. And I'm not even one of those people that are like, oh my God, you got to get vaccinated. But at least wear your fucking mask, man. It's gross. People are fucking disgusting. And this
Bro, I
pandemic has
just
shown me that.
realized we live in the same state.
Right.
And like here, everybody wears a mask where I'm
Right.
at.
Right.
That's so crazy.
Right. But it's more enforced where you're at. Right. So where I'm at, it's like not enforced at all.
Well,
Like,
here, like the store workers don't really care. They don't bother you. It's the people that are freaking psychopaths.
right.
I told you like I told you how a lady like made me spill my coffee and she was like being a complete lunatic. I moved my mask to blow on my hot coffee.
Right. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's not what we're dealing with here. Not at all. Not even a little bit. It's, so I don't know. It's crazy. The pandemic is, I don't know. It's crazy. I never thought I'd go through a pandemic in my life, but yet here we are 2.5 years in.
Yeah. Pandemic has you in here smiling like
So then you look even more creepy because like she doesn't know if you're like fucking smiling at her or making frowny faces at her because only your ears are moving. Yeah. It's
Well,
messed up,
this
man.
brings me to the next topic, and perhaps the most important topic. The pandemic has given rise to more domestic violence in the homes.
Okay.
And domestic violence, while the laws have changed, we now have like Tracy in Connecticut, there's Tracy's Law. And that if you ever get a chance to cover a story, that's a story to cover. Her husband almost killed her. And I'm telling you, police were called multiple times, but because they were like married, they were like, oh, this is between y'all two, this is between two married people, this isn't our business. He'll beat the unholy hell. This man almost beat her to death.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I don't remember if she lived through it, but like the police didn't arrest anybody. And then there when I left, um their policy was to arrest both parties. So
She was killed by a stalker.
yeah,
Oh wait, no, this is the wrong. This is in Alabama. Tracy's Law. Where at? You said in Connecticut?
in Connecticut. I think she was from like Waterbury or Waterford. It was like water or something. She was from like water or something. But so her husband like beat the unholy hell out of her. The police were called to her apartment multiple times.
Right.
When I left there in 2018, their policy was to arrest both parties, no matter who was at fault, who no matter who hit who or whatever. Like, I legit I have a breach of peace.
Hmm.
I have a breach of peace on my record because like I fought. It was me versus like seven people because they were upset that I was in an interracial relationship, and I got arrested too.
Right. And that's crazy.
If you hit, you go to jail, period.
Right.
And I was just defending myself.
Right.
Now, with the boy's dad, um it was real bad. He shoved a sock in my mouth, and even though I fought him, he was bigger than me.
Hmm.
But again, like, I'll fight all the way down. But he shoved a sock in my mouth, and I rolled under the bed so he couldn't reach me. I called 911, and they served me my PTA in the hospital.
That's crazy. Yeah, but
And
that's, I mean, yeah, that the cases of domestic violence have definitely gone up, and I know that, you know, it's one of those things that I think because we've been locked inside for so long, you know what I mean, that people they're finally showing their, you know what I mean, their true colors, you know what I mean? That's really what it is. And so it's created this almost this vacuum of, of despair, you know what I mean? And I'm not blaming or making excuses for domestic violence, but, it's one of those things that you're around somebody constantly 24/7, and it's just like, it's sad. It's sad. Domestic violence is it's another serious topic that needs to be talked about more and more, because
it,
there are,
oh my
there
gosh.
are a lot of men and women, who are in abusive relationships that, don't know how to get out of them.
It makes me wonder if the domestic violence has been going on all along, but because there's no break, no grocery store trips, no work
Right.
breaks, no school breaks or whatever, that it's just getting worse and worse. Last time I checked, the statistic was 1 in 4 people will die from domestic violence.
That's sad. And that's not just women, that's men, that's children, that's, elderly people, that's, whatever, siblings, that's domestic violence reaches not just I guess a partnership, a relationship. It could be a whole variety of things. A mom beating their
Literally
children, a dad
any
beating their children.
literally anyone that lives in your house, you can
It
have a
can be
domestic violence
domestic
with anybody
violence.
that.
Right.
So I wanted to do this: ways to stay safe during the pandemic. If you are not safe at home and you cannot get away, you can Zoom, reach out on the computer. It goes down in the PM at momisalwaysright.com. um you can put in the subject line, um oh my gosh, oh yeah, RE the show, so so that it's not obvious that you're reaching out for resources and help to get away. You are worthy. You deserve a safe place. Do not it seems bleak, but listen, they might pay your bills, they might take care of you, they might have all the money, all the cards, but listen, I've left a situation with nothing but the clothes on my back and no shoes on, because I'd rather be broke than dead.
Right.
I'd rather have nowhere to go than dead. So, and if you can't get away, listen, hit up that email address. It goes down in the PM at momisalwaysright.com. If you can get on the internet, also look up resources. If not, I got a bunch of them from your state. Like, I want to help you. And you can signal, there's a signal on Zoom. Apparently, people use this signal to let someone know that they were being kidnapped in a car.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like was it the like
I
that?
know it's
It's like,
the yeah. There's
yeah,
all
it's like
kinds of different
thumb.
like hand signals and
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like that.
Right.
And that'll tell someone that you are not safe at home and you cannot leave. But if you don't feel safe, then you should not be there. Reach
Right.
out.
No, absolutely. There are a ton of resources. You have the domestic violence hotline. I know if you go to their website and if you hit escape twice, it'll take you to a homepage. So that way, if in case if anybody's looking over your shoulder, I know it doesn't use cookies, so it shouldn't be in your search history. There's a ton of resources out there to get away from an abusive situation that you can't, that you feel like you can't get away from.
1 out of 4 breaks my heart.
Right.
One out of 4 is not okay.
Mm-mm.
That means 25% of you are not living through your relationships.
Yep. And it's sad because it keeps happening and it keeps happening because nobody's speaking up.
Yeah, so if you're not safe, reach out. If you see someone doing it, and even if you know that person's going to be right back in that same dude's arms, same dude's bed, still stand up for them.
Right.
They need someone to stand up for them. I had a friend tell me she's in a situation where her husband is grieving and he is being a dick to her. You know, he snatched out her hair, he put his hands on her, he puts her down, and we spoke on the phone. And sometimes people just need to hear from someone they care about that it is not right. I told her straight out, I said, it is not right what he is doing to you. And I was like, I hope you can see that. If you can't see it today, one day, please see you are way better than what he's giving to you.
Right. That's good.
Sometimes they just need to hear it.
Right. 100%. They do. And I agree. I commend you. It's one of those things that it needs to be talked about. There needs to be, it's that hope. People, when you lose hope, that's when you die. And unfortunately, a lot of people in those situations feel hopeless, and they feel like they don't have anybody or they don't have anything or they don't want to burden people. But it's reality is it takes one wrong punch, one wrong choke, one wrong anything, and you're gone, and then that's it. Life's over, and
Yeah.
that's the sad reality.
And sometimes when you're in a relationship, that one person can feel like the entire world. So you gotta be the friend that's the other voice that reminds them that they're not the whole world. There's at least one person there that believes you are worth more.
100%. So,
Kevin, talk to
Jolene,
me about your podcast before we get out of here.
talk to you about my
Talk,
podcast. All right.
tell my
Um,
listeners about you.
all right. Well, my name is Kevin, obviously, as you've been listening. I host the Jury Room podcast. It's a true crime podcast, but I'm super excited. So I have a series that I'm working on right now. It's coming up. Probably going to start releasing episodes, I think, probably within the next, I want to say 3 months. But it's going to be a series on addiction. So it's going to be kind of a history of, I plan on covering most drugs A to Z. And it's going to be one of those things where it's going to be like the history and some overviews of when it was legal. Because believe it or not, most of the drugs out there that are now a war against drugs are illegal, but were at one time legal. But anyway, so I'm doing a series on addiction. So I'm excited about that. If you have an addiction story or if you or a loved one has been affected by addiction, definitely reach out. juryroompodcast@gmail.com. Otherwise, excuse me. Otherwise, come check me out, True Crime. But yeah, if you have anything, any kind of feedback or anything, reach out. I'm on most social media platforms, plus most podcast players.
Dope. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited that you came on to talk about this topic. It's been a long time coming.
It
You
is,
are one
and
of
thank you for
my
having me.
You're one of my OG listeners. I had to have you on. Oh my god.
Absolutely, 100%.
What are we in? Season 34. Season 4 of It Goes Down in the PM.
Been a while.
Season 4, year 2. I had to have come on, Kevin.
Had to have Kevin, huh?
Had to have Kevin on.
Right. Well, thanks for having me, Jolene. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. And if any of the listeners, if any of you guys have any questions for Kevin, you can reach him at you want to give up your socials?
Sure. It's at Jury Room Podcast, at juryroompodcast@gmail.com. You can send a homing pigeon. You can send a message in a bottle. I'm sure I'll get it somehow. But yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere out there.
All right, perfect. And you guys know where to find me.
Because it's Jolene and it goes down in the PM.
Always goes down in the PM at 1 o'clock, man.
Thanks for having me.
All right, here's what's trending. So we talked about Kim and Kanye's divorce last week. This week, we're talking about Brangelina and their split. So far, there have been rumors, but it hasn't been super just over the top ugly. It's pretty like normal ugly for a divorce. But Brad Pitt is suing Angelina Jolie over their joint winery. So, I'll keep you guys posted on how that pans out. They invested in this winery in 2014, and now this is just another thing for them to fight over. They had an agreement that neither one of them would sell their shares, without the other's consent. Angelina Jolie wanted to sell her shares, decided to sell her shares. So now Brad Pitt is taking her to court. I mean, listen, when it comes to money, things can get ugly. When you mix money, your personal and your money, it can get real ugly real fast. So I guess the takeaway here is, well, I don't know. Like, I have joint investments with my husband, but for the most part, it's like money and blood, it don't mix. Because if anything goes wrong, money between two people whose relationship is tenuous at best, it will turn that relationship ugly. So that's what's going on in the news. I saw this adorbs pictures of Tristan Thompson. If you guys do not remember, back in the day, Tristan Thompson was the center of the scandal where he had an affair with one of the Kardashians' friends, Jordan Woods, I believe. And, they split. But he's still in his daughter's life no matter what's going on with the mom, which I admire. I mean, I'm not polishing off my Father of the Year award because, in my opinion, we do not have a high enough bar for these dads. Like, I will see a dad feeding his daughter and doing his daughter's hair, and everybody will be like, oh my God, dad goals, such a good dad. You go ahead, so good. But then I'll see a woman post the same thing, like a mom posts the same picture, exact same picture, or thing where she's doing the daughter's hair or feeding the baby, and everybody will be like, is that organic food? Oh, you're pulling too hard, or you shouldn't fix the baby's hair like that. Every mom has an opinion on how another mom should mom, but then we'll turn around and tell a dad, oh my God, round of applause for this dad who just showed up. Here you go. Woo! Congratulations, you showed up to do what you're supposed to do. And to me, that's not acceptable. So, I mean, shout out to Tristan Thompson for making sure he spends time with his daughter, you know, and not letting whatever his relationship with Chloe affect that. So, I'm with it. Go ahead, Tristan Thompson. So that's it for what's trending. I'm gonna give you the rest of the Oscar nominations.
I want to thank the Academy.
All right, so the next categories I'm gonna give to you, as promised, is Best Animated Feature Film of the Year, Best Achievement in Cinematography, Achievement in Costume Design. So, Best Animated Film of the Year is Encanto, Flea, Luca, Mitchell's versus the Machines, Raya and the Last Dragon. Achievement in Cinematography nominations, Dune, Nightmare Alley, Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, and West Side Story. Best Achievement in Costume Design, Cruella, Cyrano, Dune, Nightmare Alley, and West Side Story. My Oscar predictions: Encanto's going to win animated film. Dune will win cinematography because it was the most beautiful, boring ass film I've ever seen in my life. Achievement in costume design. I think they're going to give it to Dune. Probably Dune. So that's this week's Revelations. Hope you enjoyed it. And as per my usual, if I offended you, fuck you. It's a joke, not a dick. Don't take it so hard.
Goodbye.